Welcome all. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to show you a bit of a problem that I've discovered with my Zepon Micro 2 slider, which I discovered a couple of weeks ago, and after a bit of investigation discovered that the little wheels inside the section of the slider that move, two of them were broken, and two actually have got cracks in them. And how I discovered that was while using the slider, I was experiencing a bit of a jolt there at certain points, and also found that when I was moving the slider arms on the central section, there was some significant movement. You can see movement there at the moment, but it was far worse until I did some changes internally. And when I discovered that, I swapped the broken wheels, which were on the outside of the support structure, and just moved them into the centre part. There's actually 8 wheels, there's 4 on either side, and I discovered that there were the 2 broken ones and then also 2 that were on their way out. But by swapping them over, it made the slider functional again to a certain degree. It's not as good as it was when new, but it works at the moment. So in the intervening time, I contacted Zepon about this, and they were a bit hesitant about doing anything, and then they decided that I can get some new wheels for it at $1 a piece, $1 a piece, which I thought was okay. But I balked at the $40 US for mailing, and I asked them whether or not they could just send it by China Post, which costs nothing, and I mean they're almost weightless pieces, and I haven't heard from them since. So I'm quite disappointed at that, and I thought I'd put out this video to show what's happened, to show you actually internally how things are broken, and also at the same time to show you how to dismantle it. Should something happen to yours, you might be able to do a temporary fix for it. And this is really only, in my view, a temporary fix. What I plan to do is look at getting some Delrin material, which is a bearing sort of plastic, quite robust and all the rest, and seeing if I can actually substitute the wheels that are in there with the Delrin, not making them into wheels, but make them into something different. If it works, I'll put out another video showing what I've done and how I've repaired it, unless Zepon come to the party and actually send me some replacement wheels. And it's on that note that it's quite annoying that a product like this, I can accept that the wheels may break because they're load bearing, and with heavy camera use and so on, they are put under a lot of stress. Maybe the materials could have been better, but even if they're not, what really annoys me is that you can't get spares anywhere. Zepon should be selling a pack of 8 wheels for users, so that, and having a cheap mailing option for them as well, maybe having retailers around the traps, so that if they break, you can replace them, because it's very easy to do. The design of the slider is excellent, and pulling it apart is a no-brainer, quite honestly, and then putting it back together again. So the fact that you can't get spare parts anywhere other than directly from Zepon, and then going through a major amount of hoops, which is quite ridiculous in my view. It's sort of like buying a car and not being able to get wheel bearings for it, except through special circumstances. You can't just go to a dealer anywhere and get bearings. You've got to go to the manufacturer to get wheel bearings for your car if they wear out. That's the way I sort of put the analogy. So it's quite frustrating, and I'm disappointed that a product so good, and I've been praising it frequently, and it is a good product, but it does have this one Achilles heel that yes, I can accept them wearing out, but the fact that you can't get parts for it, I don't really accept that. I think that's a dismal failure that lets down an otherwise fantastic product. So what I'll do now is I'll actually show you how to pull the thing apart, and I'll see if I can get some close-ups of the broken bearings or the broken wheels, so that you've got an understanding of what actually happens. Now, hopefully this thing will stay in reasonable focus. So the first thing that needs to be done is you need to, now this also depends on the model that you've got. Mine was the original one. I bought the motor later on, and the motor attaches now differently to the one that comes with the supplied motor, or if you buy the new model and a motor later on. So I'm not going to go into the details of that. The disconnection from the actual moving part on the slider varies with the different models that have come out. So they're not difficult to do, but I'll just keep it simple with what I've got. But the philosophy applies to whichever model slider you've got. So the first thing needed to be done is unscrewing the belt for the motor, flip it over and undo the other one, and that'll just free up the whole mechanism. Once you've done that, you take the levers off, or the locking nuts off, and remove the motor, and that's as easy as that. Now to do the rest, you need 2 Allen keys, you need a 4mm for the end bits that are in here, and you need a 2mm for the little screws that go into the side plates. So the first thing you do, and I'll just start on this, then I'll just do a cutaway and come back to the finished work. So basically you undo the 8 little bolts that go in here with the Allen keys. Okay, once you've got your 8 Allen keys out, the end part also comes out. It's just one unit, and you're now left with the central section, which is still attached on the bottom half with the belt. Now with the 2mm Allen key, you only have to remove the bottom screws of the plate itself. Leave the top ones in because they don't you don't need to take the whole lot off. But what happens is that these screws on both sides are what holds the bottom part of the mechanism in place, and nothing is ever easy. Okay, once you've got that taken out, the base will fall out. It's just a solid metal piece, and so you can put that aside, and then you can just slide each of the mechanisms out. Let's see if I can get that back into view. So yeah, these just slide in, and I will see if I can now get a close-up, zoom in. Okay, I'll try to keep that in focus. Now, if you look closely, and I'll get my little pointer, that particular wheel there is broken, and that one there has some cracks in it, and that's already getting close to on its way out. It's got a crack on the top and a crack on the bottom. Okay, so that's there, and the other half comes out, and it's basically the same thing. It's got a shattered wheel just there, and a broken one, or soon to be shattered wheel on the other side. Now all I did was I took that broken wheel that was originally there, and I just moved it across. So it's supported by the 2 outside ones at the moment, and it seems to work. But again, it's not ideal. It's certainly not the way it should be, and I don't know exactly how well my potential plans of redoing it are going to work, but I'm going to give it a try. But yeah, the installation is just basically a reversal of what I just showed you. So the putting it back together again, component assembly is pretty easy. From that point of view, again, it's really good design, but having the failure in those wheels is quite disappointing, and I hope that I'm going to be able to find a proper solution for it, because I'm not really keen on the way it is at the moment, and it'll work, but there's still that little bump felt every so often as the wheel just happens to move around and then just hit the dead spot. That's not really good, and my other option might be to just simply remove that wheel and rely on the support of lesser number of wheels. So I'm going to give that a go, but I'm not going to show it in this video. But you get the idea, and you can see that assembly and disassembly is really quite easy, and there's not much to it. 2 Allen keys just needed, and a bunch of screws that has to be put in and out. That's about all you need to do. So on that note, anybody who's contemplating a Micro 2 slider, be aware that it does have a shortfall, and probably most likely with heavier cameras when being used to the full extent. I do note that the newer models have some sort of a support rail system to hold the weight at the end as it moves. This one doesn't. It's been pretty good to date, but unfortunately now not so good. So on that note, I'll call it cheers.